Welcome back to the Girls Gone Wise podcast. We're back for part 2 of Being Stingy Keeps You Broke. Today we're digging into the part nobody wants to talk about. How lack of self-worth causes people to push away opportunities, self-sabotage, and block the very prosperity they say they want.
There were opportunities that I would say no to because I didn't feel worthy back then. Not even just work opportunities, but I remember I was seeing somebody. I think I know you will know who I'm talking about.
I already know who you're talking about.
And just just an amazing human being, amazing man, and like
Family values.
And he would take me to these dinners, and I had so much shame, and I didn't value myself
because the people around him were more successful than you at the time, so you felt like you don't fit in, so you would like actively sabotage that relationship.
I totally did, and I pushed him away, and like it's so interesting because when I really tuned in, I was like, wow, I didn't feel worthy of that respect. I felt like not good enough. Just all the stories, right? Even though because of like where I was in my career and my job, and that doesn't actually even matter. Is what I realized is like, because there was other women who would come to these parties and they didn't even have jobs, but they valued themselves. They had self-respect.
You just use that as an excuse to justify to yourself the lack of self-love that you had for yourself.
100%.
You're like, oh, it's because of the job or because of the this and this, but deep inside that was just an excuse. It was just like you would hang on to anything. You in general, you like it happens. A lot of people go through this. You use any random thing that you can think of to justify to yourself and the world that you're not worthy. So for you, it was the job. For some other girl, it could be a body image thing. Or like, oh, I'm not gonna go there because I'm big, I'm fat, I'm chubby. Another girl could be like, oh, I'm poor, like he's so rich, I'm poor. For it's not. It's but that's just like a medium for that sense about yourself to express itself and like sabotage good opportunities in your life.
100%.
So it wasn't your job, but you used your job as a reason to just remove yourself from that elevated opportunity, 100%. That like room that you thought that were like, because I remember that person, he was good for you. Yeah.
Even in family situations, sometimes I haven't gone to family events. I didn't know this at the time. It was unconscious to me, but because shame. It's like, oh, I don't feel like I'm
haven't achieved as much as all these other people in this room. And that achievement could be anything. It could be it could be just not even real. Like it's something you made up in your head.
100%. And it's like I could have learned so much instead of putting like these metrics above it. And so it's interesting. It's so interesting how like our self-respect and our value, which honestly I think is a result of, for me, it was, when I really look at it, it was a result of like getting bullied and trauma when I was younger that affected my lack of self-worth.
How so? Like, can you connect it? So day one, you get bullied. And then how does that translate into you trying to sabotage good opportunities in your life?
Because then you tell yourself, I'm not good enough, I'm not wanted, I'm not worthy. It's just a negative spiral.
I want to hide myself. But it's so sad because it also creates confusion for the other party. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that guy was like, oh, why is Jill rejecting me? And he thought that it's
like, definitely thought that.
He probably thought that you probably without intending to reminded him of his own insecurities too, because he probably didn't know that's why you're doing it, because in his world you're perfect. But he's like, oh, why is she canceling on me? Because you never told him the real reason, because of shame. So like maybe he thought that he's not good enough. So it's just like a very uncomfortable, confusing situation for both parties, where like, or when there's insecurity involved, even if it's one person, because you don't communicate clearly.
This is directly related to stinginess because the root of stinginess is often lack of self-worth. Lack of self-worth becomes the root of self-sabotage, pushing away opportunities, mishandling resources, settling for breadcrumbs, or clinging to what's familiar because deep down you don't feel worthy of more.
When someone doesn't truly value themselves, they often struggle to value what's in front of them too. This is a byproduct of identity. We act from who we believe we are and what we believe we're worthy of. And this can be shifted with identity work.
And you're so right, because I think this causes a lot of, honestly, heartbreak, misunderstanding, heartbreak, because he definitely did look up to me in so many ways, and now it was actually through, like, trauma healing that I connected these dots, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize that would help me, like, value myself more and all of these things. But in that moment, like, of trauma, if we don't process it, we create a whole story around it and a whole identity around it. I mean, animals don't do this. They just feel the trauma and they're like, oh, they shake it out of their body. And we just, like,
we have the luxury to, not let it go.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, all it just needs to happen is energy needs to move. And so I didn't understand this for so long, though. I didn't understand why I had created a reality where I was, like, living in a solarium and off, like, $30 of groceries a week, or, like, living in Harlem, just, like, the ghetto of New York, and all this stuff. But it was my identity that I created from these experiences when I was young. And then I later realized this, and I was like, oh, my brother created a very different identity. Both of my brothers,
same family, same resources,
same family. And so it's not what happens, it's how we process that moment, right? It's like one moment
for sure
can make us feel like shift our identity, either for the positive.
It could be one negative experience.
It
doesn't even have to be a pattern, because you start hyperventilating when something similar to that happens, and then you keep shutting it down because you don't want to be in that environment. You don't want to be triggered by it, so you just remove yourself, and it becomes a pattern of something you always do when a certain thing shows up. And sometimes that certain thing is not the same thing that hurt you 20 years ago. It's just a hypothesis. Like, maybe once in your lifetime when you were a kid, you found yourself in a room of mega successful people and you felt judgment, and you're like, oh, every time I enter a room of mega, whereas, like, that could just be some random horrible person, and but you now associate every mega successful person with, like, they're judging you because in that time, in that moment in time, they have a better position, or, like, a more higher social status than you. But it was probably one person. It was probably not even all the people in that room, but you remember that face, and maybe they would have done the same thing even if they were lower than you, but you just have that imprint, and then you reapply it to every single day of your life, and it becomes this reality that actually never even existed.
100%. It is that imprint, and now we're scanning. Oh, I don't want to experience that again. So let me avoid this to protect myself.
Not this, but not only this, but similar things.
10 years ago, 20 years ago. And we're like, why are we sabotaging it? Why are we taking this opportunity? And it's like, because our unconscious mind is thinking the thing is still happening. That happened years ago, and we're trying to protect ourselves from that because it was so painful, but it's not actually happening. And so this is where,
but then you recreate the same patterns because you react to situations the same way.
Exactly.
Like, if you leave that room again, then you're gonna disconnect from those people again, so you're gonna basically get the same outcome even though it's not even happening, and then it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And it's like, oh, right, see, my identity is right, my belief about the world is right. And I was thinking about this the other night, because I feel like our unconscious mind is always trying to actually just clear those past imprints that aren't useful. And I was having these, like, different lenses of paradigms that I could try on. I hope this is making sense. And I was like, wow, if I believed this, and then I found all this evidence, and I was like, well, what if I believed this? And then and I'm like, any of them could be true.
Almost like putting yourself in a matrix where things can shift, and then you're like, if I need to prove this, do I have enough evidence? And then you're like, for the same reason that I can prove this thing that I actually don't believe in, maybe the thing that I believe in, I'm only finding evidence for it because I want to, not because it's real or it's any more real than the other thing. It's like, what do you want to believe in?
100%.
And then you find evidence for it.
100%. And what's useful to the life you want to create. And so it's so bonkers how our mind works, our unconscious mind, because it's like, I could find any of those paradigms. If I looked, I could find evidence. And then it's like, which one do you want to choose? But some people will stay in, well, I just want to continue to look for evidence why there is only scarcity in the world. But then you get tunnel vision on that, and you're only going to allow in, the filter, the reticular activating system, the pieces of information, around 7 pieces of information in one moment in time we can process that are equivalent to that belief system will always prove our unconscious beliefs correct.
Always.
So if I think men suck and there's only bad men in the world, that's going to be my reality. But if I start to shift the lens I look through, I'm like, maybe there's good men. All of a sudden I start to see good men.
You see good in every man, even if they're generally not good people. You're going to see the one good trait, and then you also see more good people. And it applies to everything. Like even this podcast, like we're working on a good setup right now, and it's going to take a couple of weeks for us to have a great like studio. So I remember looking at all these successful podcasters and be like going back to their oldest video, and I'm like, oh, some of them started with like a setting like this, like in the middle of the living room. Some of them, I don't know if they deleted the first ones or right off the bat they had a good studio. And then I'm like, oh, if I want to convince myself not to start this because our studio is not ready, then I have evidence and data to support it. Oh, every successful podcaster started with a great studio. But I literally had evidence for the opposite as well. There were so many people who literally started. There was a girl who's like super successful. I follow her. I love her. She's amazing. Her first video, and she hasn't deleted it, and she actually talks about not deleting it. It's like an empowerment thing for her. It was in her bathroom because she was living with a bunch of people. She didn't even have her personal space.
Wow.
So her first video is her like talking to her phone in the washroom. Like there's like a sink in the back.
Yeah.
And she still has it on, even though like she's mega successful. And I'm like, okay, so there's evidence for this. And there's also evidence that I have to have a perfect studio. So what do I want to believe in?
Yes. And you know what's so crazy, because that like she showed up and did the thing because she believed in herself.
Yeah. And I really like that she hasn't deleted that video. If anything, I just have way more respect for her.
And how often do we not believe in ourselves so we don't show up for the thing? Like everyone's waiting until, not everybody, but most people are waiting until they're ready. We're never going to feel ready. We have to just.
But the evidence was out there. Like the evidence that we need a perfect studio before we start was out there. But I decided that that's not the evidence I'm looking for. The evidence I'm looking for is the girl in the washroom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it became my reality. We started. We're doing this. We're
100%.
bootstrapping everything. And
we had all the reasons to push this and this. And it's like, just show up sometimes. And if you have to borrow the belief that it could work out.
I love that term. Borrow
and
the
if
belief.
you don't know how it's going to work out, that's okay. Like borrow the belief that someday it will. We actually know somebody who we used to work with years ago that has become a very successful actress. And it's so interesting because she always just, I was listening to a podcast with her and she said, I always just believed it was going to turn out. And she,
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I'm so happy for her. Such a sweet girl.
She's so sweet.
But I was shocked when I saw it. Like she's very successful. Like we can't even tell you her name because she's like mega successful. But we worked with her at a restaurant. And I still remember her in her apron and in her her dreamy little eyes of like, is it like she had so much hope, and like seeing her on TV, like I saw her on TV and I'm like, oh my God, this happened. This literally happened because she decided that to take the identity that like, I'm not a waitress. I'm just doing this to pay my bills.
Yeah.
And it happened. Like and it was so real and visceral for me because I have vivid memories of some nights where we were all tired and she was like taking her shoes off and she was like exhausted and like counting the cash and like all that. And I'm like, I cannot believe that she's on a major Netflix show right now. And I'm so happy for her because she was such a nice girl.
She's such a
but I saw it in real time. Like I remember being like, I cannot believe this. This is surreal.
I mean, in that industry, it's a lot of, you get close or it's like you're auditioning so much and it's like, is anything actually going to be the breakthrough? And she could have looked through that lens and stopped, or she could have just kept looking through the lens of, no, it's going to work out. And here's the thing. So many people think overnight success, right? There is no overnight success in anything.
You just see it when it happens.
You see it when it happens. I'm in a classroom now and the teacher was actually like, so brilliant. Like, he's like, the overnight success takes a lot of hours and a lot of years to actually create, but nobody sees that. They just see, oh, this happened. And it's like, yeah, but how many hours did that person spend honing their craft, or showing up for their business, or building behind the scenes, or learning and going to school? And
no one's watching though when that's happening.
Nobody's clapping.
The moment you're there, then it means you're already doing everything right. So you shouldn't be worried about it in the beginning, because no one's even watching you, because you're in the beginning and you're making mistakes, and like, you shouldn't be embarrassed, because the moment you stop, when you make it, you've already grown and you don't have those problems. So you just like push through it, and you're like, oh my God, it's all in my head. I feel like the whole world is watching me struggling and making mistakes. And when you look back, you're like, oh, no one was even watching me. It was just me judging myself.
100%. It's like, most people are too worried about their life to actually
think about
a bunch of other people. And the people who are judging all the people, like, they're not building anything. Nobody actually building anything in this world is focused on bringing other people down. You know what I mean? And here's the thing. It's not about bypassing, like, oh, dang, I didn't get that job, or I didn't get that promotion, or whatever. It's like, what do you do in those moments? Do you choose to just give up, or do you choose to persist through it? And I think when we love what we're doing, or we have purpose behind what we're doing, there will be days we don't want to show up, but you'll keep coming back to it because there's a purpose that's greater than you. There's a passion for it. There's a vigor for it. There's a hunger for it. Right. And it's not about, the applause, because everybody applauses, or some people get angry when things work out, but who are you? Like, it's the hero's journey. Like, who are you when it's not easy? Do you just give up and go into entitlement and like, or are you like, okay, this is humbling, and maybe there's more to learn. How do I problem solve this? And I think this is in all areas of life. I don't think it's just like work or business or career. I think it's in, friendships. I think it's in relationship. I think it's in all areas of our life, because I think to build anything sustainable, there will be challenges. How do you act within that? And like, that's where long-term success is, I believe.
I don't have a question for you though.
Yeah.
Why do stingy people stay broke?
Stingy people stay broke for multiple reasons. Firstly, because they're looking through that lens. That's their paradigm. And so they're only going to see opportunities in alignment with that paradigm.
I wanted you to say that because I wanted to tie it back, because I felt like it's so related.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We were talking about everything else, but it was like, it went back, like it went full circle.
Yes. And
because it's the same thing. They're looking for saving $2 when they're buying cheese, but they're not looking, like, maybe 45 minutes of me learning a new skill set can generate $20,000 per hour.
Because
they're not looking for that.
Exactly. That thought literally can't even entertain that thought. It won't even come into their mind, because their RAS, which actually we'll just call it the RAS, is like the filter. We'll call it the filter. The filter is like, reject. That's not our reality. That's my reality. We will always,
just like when you said you were picking up shifts because you were like, oh, the audition, like, you're subconsciously telling the world the audition's not going to work. Because if you thought it's going to work, you would be like, why am I picking a shift up that is like $400 but not going to this audition? That if you believe that it's going to work and it's going to pay you like $30,000 an episode, you would definitely say no to like multiple
100%
months of working that shift. But it was you didn't say it, but you acted it out that you think it's not going to work. That's why that $400
100%.
Shift is more important.
And you know what? When I started learning about these lenses, I booked a commercial. It was like 5,000 people went out for that commercial, and I was like,
I remember that. Actually. So proud of you.
It was like 4 or 5 auditions, and I gave up shifts in the middle of summer, which is like the best time for that industry here. And I was like, what if I book this? I just started trying on that lens. And then I remember I burnt my hand and we had to like show our hand and somehow I hit it. I'm like, what if I showed up and what if they didn't see? And somehow like I ended up booking it, or that TV show that you called me about.
Yeah, oh my God.
The same thing. I was like,
I saw her on a Netflix show and I didn't know. She told me, but I forgot. But then I was like, oh my God, that's Jill. Jill's on Netflix. And I started like screaming. And it was crazy because it happened when you almost gave up. Because you were like, and I think giving up sometimes it sends the same signal because you don't act like you, because so the outcome is like either I'm not gonna care, so I'm not gonna act like I'm dependent on the outcome, and then I'm gonna feel free and do things freely, and then that way you're like comfortable in your body and you do the right thing and it works out, or you really believe in it and you like give up every other opportunity to actually like attain it, and then you do. So I feel like for you, everything worked out either when you said no to other opportunities because you basically with your actions, you were telling the world that this is gonna work, or you didn't care and you didn't try to please your, like your agent or like people, like you just did what felt right and then it worked out.
Can we speak to this? Can I speak to this? Okay, 100%. Because I remember there was some pivotal shifts in my journey, and I took several years off because I needed to for my mental health, and I'm grateful for that. But I did notice that when I like booked that commercial and that Netflix show, I didn't want to actually work at that serving job for like just a couple months, and I had this thought. I'm like, I really would love to just keep this job but not work these like slow months. And then they let me go. So I focused fully on acting. My energy went there, but I was also detached because I'm like, well, I know I have this good gig coming up and like I have enough to like get by for the next few months.
You didn't even care when they let you go. I don't remember you having any emotional reaction. It was almost like a relief for you. It was like, oh, I wanted to go. Now I don't even have to make that decision.
Because it was so slow and and I wanted to focus my energy on acting. And then I booked that show, but I wasn't attached to it either. So I'm like, well, what are the chances? I just started to like surrender attachment and do it for the craft. And
it worked out because they paid you more than the whole summer of working at that job,
It's like, and then when I booked my first acting role, I literally didn't have an agent. It was quite a big role for my age. I think it was 17, 18. It was the craziest synchronicities. I was in a personal development program, and there was a woman and her husband was reading for the casting director, and we ended up chatting, and I helped him with something, and then he called me in for this audition, just totally unexpected. And so I was like, well, I'm not gonna book this because there's so many women going out for it, so I'm just gonna like go have fun and play. There was women all over Canada and the States. And then after I did the audition, I let it go. And then I was kind of like, well, what if we did that? Would be cool. Like I was unattached, but I was like, that would kind of be cool. And I ended up booking it. And it's always this place of not neediness, but doing it
for the love of the game.
For the love of it and the love of the game, and not getting attached. There's so many factors, but I think that is a key for any area of life. I think it's like if we do it because we need the validation, we're never going to get it. It's needy energy, but also we'll stop when things get hard. And there are levels
to the game. So even when you move up and you think, oh, I don't care about that person's opinion anymore, there's going to be a new person. So if you have this habit of caring, then it just like you have to reapply it to the next level. It's never ending. And so you have to change the way you perceive the world, not the players, because the players always like replace themselves. Like if you're scared of your boss, then even if you stop working for a corporate and you start working for yourself, then you have that feeling towards your customer or your biggest contract, because you have this habit of being scared of a person who has power over you, or it's in a or he or she is in a position of authority. But if you just kill that habit of being scared of anyone you're dealing with, then you're basically triumphed on like a macro level of like you're not killing little demons, you just killed the general, like overarching like demon that is like, oh, I'm scared of someone who has power over me. If you get over that, then it doesn't matter. It can be your dad, it can be your mom, it can be your boss, your client. So you can't do it like one person at a time. You have to, that's why you have to do it within you instead of like, oh, Jack, Bill, Joe, like, oh, my boss Joe, like I can't get along with him because he's using his power. You just have to learn how to get along with people or not care about people who are doing that to you. So when the universe shows up, like people show up with the same patterns of behavior, you know how to like deal with it.
It's all patterns.
So it's not like you're constantly dealing with situations. It's like for one time, like I'll be okay. If somebody wants to control me, I'm not going to allow it, no matter the consequence. Then it's okay. You can shift jobs. You can go from like different relationships, different friendships, and you carry that with you, that you're not going to allow for this to happen.
100%.
So you have to heal it from like the inside, not 100%. Like attacking the world. And I learned that the hard way. I wasn't perfect, and I'm not perfect, still a work in progress. But every time I have an issue with someone, I'm like, it's not them, because there are like millions of people like this. Why can I get along or deal with this energy?
It's the pattern, that's keeping you stuck. And it's not that people can only have power over us if we give it to them. But when we find our truth and are grounded in ourselves, we stop giving people power. And it is such an inside out job, because you're right. It's like, oh, and then this bigger role or this bigger agent or this bigger contract or this client or whatever it is. And it's like, you know, it's firstly, maybe it's your dad, and then it's your agent, and then it's your manager, and you're like, whoa, it's the same player. It's just how I'm perceiving it. What part of me is outsourcing my inner power, and how can I actually access that within? And then things start to shift. It's like they no longer have power over you, and it becomes a different dynamic. And
it comes a lot of times, it comes with detachment. Like the most abundant person in the world is not the person who has everything. It's the person who needs nothing.
Thanks for joining us on the Girls Gone Wise podcast.
We'll see you in part 3 of Being Stingy Keeps You Broke, where we will explore why the energy behind chasing money can keep you in lack and how to shift into the energy of true abundance.